Well, thank you for the chance that is given to us. Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom Namo Buddhaya. Salam harmoni. Good morning, everyone. Welcome on these plenary sessions. I hope all of you still in a good condition that we can follow the course of today's presentations. In this special occasion, we would like to present a paper entitled Language Teaching Method in 21st Century in a Pandemic Condition. But before we start our presentation for today, let we introduce ourselves first. My name is WAYAN SUASTAWAN. I'm the moderator for today's presentations. But today I'm not alone because I have accompanied by three fellow students, namely the first Nikade Mentari, second is Nikade Priska Ayu Widyawati, the third one is Diana Ratnasari. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's start our presentation with the background of the paper. So the background of the paper is proficiency in knowledge and expertise is a powerful weapon in various aspects of the 21st century. As we know, 21st century education pattern more focuses on a form of language learning with a series of activities that spur students to be able to think critically, literally, and structurally, especially in the realm of problem solving, communication, coordination, and collaboration with the various parties in a straightforward and effective manner so that they will be able to elaborating his creativity in order to spawn new innovation to advance capacity and daily activities. But the emergence of COVID-19 pandemic that hit the entire country has not been surprised unless Indonesia has succeeded in destroying all aspects of life, including the work of education. The online learning policy issued by government institutions must inevitably make the entire academic community to think hard to think about the language learning method that remains attractive and comprehensive amid limitation while still referring to the 21st century skill based on global awareness and seven literacy areas. Based on the above problem, the writer is stimulated to examine further about language learning method in the 21st century during the COVID-19 pandemic by still referring to the 21st century skills that are able to answer the learning demands of students. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the background, we have to know the concept of 21st century learning and instruction. For this topic, will be explained by Nikade Mentari. For the Nikade Mentari, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the chance given to me. So today I would like to tell you about the concept of 21st century learning and instruction. Ladies and gentlemen, to foster 21st century learning, an educator must be able to change the teaching cycle from being teacher-centered, becomes a learning pattern that focuses on students, even though teachers have often heard the term CBSA that is often echoed. They are still not fully capable in the context of implementation in the field. Therefore, we revert to the educational slogan described by the Indonesian national education figure, Ki Hajar Dewantara, which read Tuthuri Handayani. It can be seen that the essence of a teaching staff is none other than as a driver and provider of means for students to achieve success in the learning process. In order to perfectly lay out the principle of 21st century learning, there are several indicators of the 21st century learning and teaching concept. Next. These are, these are including the first one is the main task of the teacher as a learning planner. So in this case, in his or her role as a facilitator, a teacher is asked to be able to plan by referring to several aspects such as the goals required by the national curriculum, 21st century skill development, the use of supporting technology that is integrated with assessment system and the target to be achieved. And the second one is under the higher order thinking, and we usually call by HOTS. Along with the rapid development of information and communication technology, students have been spoiled with various facilities in terms of accessing information, especially those related to activities in the realm of education. Therefore, teachers are required to be able to spur themselves in creating applicative level tasks that will provide a stimulus for students to think more critically so that learners will read more source of information in order to solve tasks which indirectly also add to their knowledge. So the third one is the application of various approach and learning model. So in this case, we will examine some this approach method in depth in this paper, which include design-based learning system, curiosity, and teaching patterns with cross method and contradictory model in order to add to the knowledge of student learning experiences. One thing that must be taken as a note is they must be able to understand the correlation between the disciplines studied in school and how they are implemented in real life. They are required to be proficient in finding solutions to the problems they encounter. So the last one is technology integration. So in this case, a school as educational service provide where teachers and educators have more access to using technology as a support for the course of learning activities must be able to provide training so that the effectiveness of technology-based learning will run optimally, even though the principle of 21st century learning don't require them to be fluent in the context of operation because it is the focus. Attention is how teachers are able to create a teaching atmosphere that is active and collaborative, but it needs to be underlined that technology will not be able to transform into a good tool if the education system is still conventional. I think that's all from me, and I return to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Kadek Mentari, for the explanations. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's we move to the second session of this plenary session that will be discuss the basic principle of 21st century learning that will be explained by Diana Ratnasari. For Diana Ratnasari, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Adi, for the opportunity that is given to me. I'm going to explain about basic principles of 21st century learning. So based on the was written in the 12th century National Education Paradigm book by BNCP clearly states there are 16 points of upgrading principles that should be fulfilled and 21st century learning. The same thing is also clearly stated in Permendikbud number 65 on 2013, but with different number. Namely, 14 points referring to the principles of implementing the 2013 curriculum. In line with this, a Western academic, namely Jennifer Nichols, narrowed the scope of these items to 4 main principles of 21st century learning, as in the following explanation. First one is instruction should be student-centered. Ideally, a good teaching and learning activity should focus more on the students themselves so that they will be more active and dynamic in honing their capacities without being required to back to memorizing a myriad of theories or not give by the teacher. He will make more efforts to construct his or her knowledge and skills according to their respective capacities, while being invited to actively contribute to in solving case encountered in the public domain. The second one is education should be collaborative. In general, a learner must be taught to collaborate with other people who have diverse ethnic and cultural backgrounds in order to gather information, exchange ideas, and work on projects. It is hoped that through this collaborative process, they are expected to take part and adapt quickly and efficiently. The third one is learning should have context. A learning activity will mean nothing if it is unable to have an impact on student life outside in the school environment. Therefore, all learning material must be correlated with the real life context. Teacher must be capable of elaborating materials and methods so that they will be able to bridge students to connect with the real words, and teachers are also obliged to help their students to interpret and believes that they will that what they learn can be applied in everyday life. The last one is school should be integrated with society. It is no secret that schools should be able to accommodate students to contribute to their social environment in order to prepare students to become responsible citizens. For example, by carrying out community service in the fields of education, hold the environment, and visiting orphanage to increase their sense of empathy and social care. That's all my explanation about basic principles of 21st century learning. Thank you for the opportunity, and I return back to moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana Ratnasari, for the explanations. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now let's we move to the main topic of this presentation that will be discussed the learning method in the 21st century in a pandemic condition that will be explained by KADEK Priska Ayu Widyawati. For Priska Ayu Widyawati, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the opportunity that is given to me. Now I will continue the presentation about learning and teaching method in 21st century. There are several learning methods or models that are feasible to be applied in responding to the challenge of the 21st century, but the most famous and dominant one is the model project-based learning and inquiry-based learning. The first one is project-based learning. Project-based learning is an innovative learning method which focuses on the student or student-centered. Project-based learning focuses on the goal so that students in learning can develop knowledge and skill through a structured inquiry process and produce new products. Project-based learning is different from traditional learning, which only memorize theories. And the theory that supports project-based learning is the constructivism theory by Jean Piaget. And the second one is inquiry-based learning. The term inquiry comes from the English vocabulary, which means the implementation of investigation, searching for valid information until examination. Inquiry-based learning is a teaching technique where the teacher involves students in the learning process through the use of ways of asking, problem solving, and critical thinking. Based on inquiry learning, learning activities facilitate students to ask questions, conduct investigation or searches, experiments to research independently to get the knowledge they need. Learning with the inquiry-based learning approach always works so that students are always mentally and physically active. Next. These are the points of project-based learning. The first one is problematics as a first step. The learning patterns commonly referred to as project-based learning is a model that uses problematics as a first step in gathering and connecting new experience-based insight and real activities. The second one is designed to be used on complex problems. The system is designed to be used on complex problems that require students to carry out investigation in order to gain a definite understanding. And the third one is begin by presenting a number of decisive questions. Through project-based learning, the inquiry cycle will begin by presenting a number or decisive question, followed by guiding students in a collaborative project that combines various subjects contained in the curriculum. When the questions have been successfully answered, they will immediately be able to predict various main elements as well as benchmark in a central discipline. And the fourth one is provided full access to examine learning content. But keep in mind that each student has a different style and character in learning. Therefore, the system will provide full access to students to examine learning content by justifying various ways according to their learning style. And the last one is actualization of production-based education. In essence, project-based learning can be said to be the actualization of production-based education that develops among vocational school students. Next. These are the points of inquiry-based learning. The first one is find the contribution of students. In principle, we will find the contribution of students in this learning system in gaining an understanding. And the second one is impact on sportive skills and attitudes. So it will certainly have an impact on obtaining supportive skills and attitudes in the context of the problem-solving process to thoroughly explore the question that arise to be used to build new knowledge in students. And the third one is how inquiry procedure begins. The inquiry procedure begins by gathering news and data by exerting the capacity of the five human sense. The teacher do not necessarily explain the concept or subject matter, but stimulate students to actively try to find experiences in order to try to understand the concept planned by the educators. And the fourth one is require the class. In practice in the field, this method will require the class to be divided into small group in order to solve the problems that will be given by the teacher. And the last one is free space for students. Of course, because this is an inquiry method, the teacher is obliged to give a number of questions that are open in nature so that it allows students to elaborate on their thoughts. In this case, the students should be given free space in measuring how far their level of mastery is related to the material given. Well, that is all from me, and I return it to the moderator. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for Priska for the explanations. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now let's move to the last session in this plenary session that will be discussed the role of educators that will be explained by myself. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the teacher is the party who vital responsibility in providing an active, effective, comfortable, and collaborative learning atmosphere for the achievement of learning objectives. Departing from this statement, Dojonegoro obtained 4 criteria for the teachers to be able to hold the title of professional, such as the first is professional skills. This is defined as a term dedicated to professional abilities, which include intelligence, ethic, and work performance. The second is professional endeavors. It is a series of efforts made by educators in actualizing their professional abilities in real teaching activities. The third is the management. It is defined as the duration of the teachers in concentrating all forms of professional tasks they are carrying. And the last one is truly teach students. The point is that the teachers must be truly fluent in this discipline they are engaged in, so that will be able to apply effective and innovative teaching methodologies. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that's all about our presentation. I hope all of you can enjoy our explanation, and we would like to say apologies if there is any mistake because nobody is perfect. Keep spirits, stay healthy and stay safe, and don't make this pandemic as a barrier to improve our creativity and innovations. We would like to close this plenary session with Paramasanti. Om Santi 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 Om. Salam Rahayu, Salam Harmoni.